This conference will now
Ladies,
be recorded.
and now we're recording. It's official. If we're good, everybody please stand. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Waters, if you would do an invocation for this, please.
Jesus, we just want to say thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for this beautiful day. I ask you, Lord, that you bless us, Lord, as we go into the meeting. Help us, Father, Lord, to come together, Lord, for the good of the community and for the betterment of our community as well. I ask you, Lord, to bless the ones that are sick and not feeling well. And Lord, I ask you to lead us and guide us and direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, everybody. Please be seated. Just be mindful of your ringtones. Please put them on vibrate or cut them off if you don't mind. Appreciate that. All right, next up on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda as it is. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? All in favor? Next up is consideration of the stormwater engineering estimate. Zach, you good?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so this is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago. We were going to reach out to John Freshwater and John Odom to see if they could give us a breakdown on what it would cost to do the engineering and surveying for the various project locations throughout the town. There was a couple of additional sites that were added in that you see reflected on this list, and it came out to a total amount of $31,150. Should remediation be possible at all of the project locations. So just wanted to bring this before the board and see if there was interest in moving forward on this proposal to start work at these various project locations. We did at a previous meeting provide direction to move forward at the Neptune Court site. So that one, we've already provided that direction to John Odom and John Freshwater to move forward, but wanted to see if there's interest in moving forward on these other project sites. And if so, what the interest is in terms of the time frame, if we want them to go ahead and get started on that.
Comments, questions? Steve? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Just to confirm, this is the remainder, this is to provide us with a plan for each one of these sites moving forward, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And I think what we were proposing was to utilize the American Rescue Plan funds. They're currently located under the governing board department. So we're basically just getting that permission to utilize those funds for this purpose, for this proposal, and it's to get these to a design plan for each of these project locations.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any more discussion? Okay. All in favor? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Next up is the selection of a new bank.
All right, and let's see. For this item, I'm probably going to hand it off to Sandy. Just the short summary version is we're all aware that Wells Fargo is closing down in Cape Carteret, and so Sandy's been talking with First Citizens, which is right next door, about the possibility of us banking with First Citizens. So I'll let Sandy cover any of the questions or comments that might come up for that. But we're just seeking approval from the Board of Commissioners to change banks over to First Citizens here in Cape Carteret.
I spoke with Barbara Young, who is the vice president over there. We spoke with
with her back before we went to Wells Fargo. It's been probably about 2 years ago when Sound Bank closed. At that time, I would have preferred to go. I think we all would have preferred to have gone, but their fees were very high. It would have probably ran us somewhere between $150 to $200 a month at that time, based on the different accounts we have, based on the restrictions of like the power bill account, just different things we have to have based on statute. I sat down with Barbara, went through the same routine this time, expressed the situation. We're bringing quite a bit more money this time to the table than we did last time. And as we've worked out, now the only funds we should have to pay, there will be an occasional, maybe in July when we have sell boat ramp passes, when we have an extreme amount, if we go over 500 items that go into a monthly amount or a certain amount of cash amount, then we incur fees. But that will be very, like I said, maybe July, but rarely. Every monthly fee that we will pay will be for our ACH payroll. We do payroll online, and they will charge, it's actually charged $1 per check, which for us, what that means is it'll be a $30 fee every month. On the months we have 3 payrolls, it will be $45 a month, which compared to what the fees were is an excellent deal. They also have a very good package for our employees. If the employees decide they want to sign up, they have a package for free checks. And I can send this on to you guys if y'all would like to, because I'm sure as commissioners, you could also get the benefits. They charge no fees. They have certain duplicate checks, I believe, that are free, and other benefits for the employees who want to open up an account. Being that they are we discussed reaching out to Truist, but again, that is, we want to keep our money here. Being that they were willing to work with us and have come down off the fees, I would recommend that we go with them. They've been here the longest. They have, the best name as far as we're dealing with banks around here. I feel very confident in their ability to handle pretty much everything we've got going now. I did not discuss with her in length about changing over our credit card machine or we have our bank account credit cards through Wells Fargo too. Both of those could be done after the fact. This is something that really needs to be approved as soon as possible because Wells Fargo's closing them. I think June 15th is their last day.
Right.
And it takes quite a while to get checks in. A lot of our deposits are done ACH, and I have to reach out to each one of those person and fill out a form and get all that new information done. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have if I have that.
Relative to Wells Fargo, I mean, I understand that staying there is not a tenable solution, but relative to that, what do the fees look like? I know they're better than the original offer from First Citizens, but what do they look like?
We paid no fees with Wells Fargo.
Okay.
They started us out with no fees. The 1 month they charged us fees, I called Shane, who was at the time, and he waived those. I don't think other than the fees for the ACH that we're really gonna, the fees that they charge on a regular basis, we don't need. They charged a $750 fee to have 2 people be able to go online. We don't need 2 people. The things that we don't need them. We're small enough, we don't need extras. So I think that I have worked with her enough that we won't have anything but our ACH payroll fees, which are, you're talking $30 to $45 a month, which is very good compared to, and you're talking, we're taking $3 million pretty much with us. The only thing that will not be there will be the money we have in our police department retirement fund is still in a CD and it's at Dogwood Bank. I've never moved that. Now, when the time comes, if the interest is better, I may, but every time it comes due, the interest is better where it's at, so I've left it where it's at. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to proceed with switching back.
Okay.
I'll second.
That's right. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, Sandy, make it so. Thank you. Next up, discussion of the upcoming 2022-2023 draft budget. Zach?
Alrighty, so I'm going to put I guess I'll go through on the highlighted version on Excel. We sent that out earlier today. Let's see. There we go. All right, so just going through, department by department, and we've highlighted the areas. Sandy's highlighted the areas. I want to thank Sandy for doing that today for us, where we made changes from the previous meeting to the meeting this evening. So in summary, we were able to get the budget balance without having to include a tax increase in there. There were a couple of fee increases that were discussed at the previous meeting, but I think that's good news in terms of where we were able to get the budget to. So there was some increase on the audit and accounting fees side. We added in that 1094, 1095B form preparation cost, as well as the bank processing fees. There was a slight increase on the property and liability side. And then that ARP expenses amount, we'll have to change that again. Since if we're going to use that engineering or a portion of that money for the engineering on the stormwater projects, we'll have to amend that before the final budget proposal. We'll go on to the next. All right, general administration updated the health insurance costs. It actually went down just a little bit. The insurance, property and liability adjusted that based on the quotes we received. Parks and recreation, we put that at $2,000 per event for 4 main events. And we had some discussion about that at the previous Board of Commissioners meeting. So maybe we might have an opportunity tonight to delineate what those events are for the year. We adjusted the split between the Public Works department and the Planning and Inspections department. So we've updated these amounts. Got 14,891 in here. And we've updated each of those lines accordingly. And the health insurance is all fully on the Public Works side. It's reflected in there, which adjusted that total to $21,078. And then in the Public Works department, we made that adjustment on the salaries line to reflect that split position. And then we also updated the other related categories or lines appropriately from there. Updated the health insurance costs, and we updated our property and liability insurance. We also included the money for the skid steer, because I don't think we're going to receive that before the end of the fiscal year. There's parts to the skid steer that are still in transit or being shipped. So we don't know if we're going to see the skid steer arrive before the end of the fiscal year. We did just request a grant extension from the state. So hopefully that would give us an additional year of time to work with, to receive the skid steer and get that program started. And then we, just updated that line there for the enterprise fleet management. Hopefully we're going to be getting in the replacement for the dump truck. So we're waiting on that to arrive and to be built out. So that's something we thought was going to happen in this current fiscal year, but looks like it will not transpire until the next fiscal year. PAL bill, we didn't have anything in there before. Took what we had left, after making adjustments on these various lines throughout the budget, and put that amount in there. So we've got a little bit of funding to work with in terms of asphalt patching and pothole repairs. Updated our public grounds, utilities, and buildings line for property and liability insurance. updated our building repairs and maintenance, dropped that down a little bit, so that reduced the overall department total. And then in the police department, because of this, some of the health insurance savings that went down just a little bit. Just saw a slight decrease there. And on the insurance side, a slight increase just like it was for all the other departments, but not as much as we were originally anticipating. And then we updated that number for the enterprise fleet management based on the updated cost amounts that we got from enterprise. So that's the lease payments that we're making, our monthly payments that we're making on the 3 Dodge Chargers that we currently have. And then that also includes 3 Ford police interceptor utility vehicles, which we are planning on getting in the upcoming fiscal year. And then the enterprise maintenance tracking services that enterprise provides. So that comes out to that $37,996. And didn't make any changes on the environmental and emergency preparation budget. And went through and on the revenue side and made a couple of adjustments on here. Ad valorem's up a little bit from the current fiscal year to the upcoming fiscal year. We got some updated numbers on that. Sandy reached out to the ABC board and got some clarification on this item. We think that 150,000 to 160,000 is probably a good estimate range to be within, and Sandy can elaborate on that a little bit more if there's additional questions on that item. Reflected that state grant, that's for the skid steers to show that as a revenue coming in. I'm anticipating that hopefully we'll get that in the next year, and hopefully that grant extension will be approved. Updated the SRO contributions from other towns based on that conversation at the previous meeting. The permit and inspection fees, we looked at the number of permits we've issued, and we also accordingly increased the fees to reflect those new amounts that were suggested at the previous meeting. Golf cart fees was updated based on the conversation at the previous meeting. And the miscellaneous income, we just put that back to 300. And so the amount appropriated fund balance of ARP funds, that was adjusted based on what we had used our Board of Commissioners meeting. We'll need to adjust that again for these stormwater engineering projects. So we'll need to take that off of that total amount and update that for the final budget proposal. And so that's just the summary there of the expenditures. So the budget is balanced at $2,882,079 for revenues and $2,882,079 for expenditures. So anyways, it's a balanced budget, and I think we're in pretty good shape. Be happy to answer any questions about any of the specific line items or areas that were adjusted. But want to thank Sandy and the staff for their hard work on this, and hopefully we can proceed to put the rest of the budget together and get it to the board for consideration. So.
All right, thank you, Zach. Questions for Zach, comments?
Zach, did you say that ad valorem revenue was based on 21.25 cents?
Yes, that's based on the current tax rate, 21.25 per $100 valuation.
One thing, Zach, I just remember in the last meeting, when we were discussing about the events, having the special events, I think it was Commissioner Martin brought the idea of having maybe a survey that's something we could do. That way we can just approve the money, but then, we can decide which ones we want to spend that money on.
Yes, yeah, and we could definitely get a survey out and put, kind of a list of all the events that we've done, and then let people vote. That could give us some good information on what to prioritize.
Okay. I know for sure we're sort of committed for the watermelon one now. Okay.
What did we decide on the fee schedule? I know we got the email of the boat stuff. What did we decide on? What did we decide on the boat ramp fees? I saw the email.
Yeah.
I do too. I do too. Do we want to go ahead and start going into that? I think it ties in to the revenues. So is this a good jumping off point for that?
Maintain the same revenue. We've all been receiving emails from people complaining about overusage or too many permits. Zach, is that something we need to be talking about now? Can we? Zach, what's your recommendation on discussing that now or waiting for some guidance?
And I just caught, I didn't catch maybe the first part of that.
Well, Commissioner Watts and the rest of the commission here, we're talking about the boat ramp usage and fees, and based on the email, do we need to be discussing that now or maybe? I mean, it is part of the budget, but my recommendation is even if we tweak the passes, the number of passes issued and changed any of the permit fees, we could maintain the same revenue or close to it. That's work. But do we need to discuss that now? I personally don't think so, but.
Yeah, I mean, the only consideration would be that the renewal applications will go out pretty soon, and Heather can probably be more specific on the date that those go out. But I do know that's probably the main consideration in terms of just making sure we put the correct information when those go out. But there was another email that Brett had sent along earlier today that I'll forward along, and maybe at the next meeting, if we need to have some additional conversation on it, then we can. But probably want to kind of go through that first and read through that email first before we go too much further on that.
That's what I was alluding to.
So Heather, when do we usually start doing that? Is that the end of June or?
Is that something we could have an agenda item on for June? Would that be too late? I mean, if we made a decision at the June meeting?
You just hold off. Okay, well, let's do that. We'll put that on the agenda.
I didn't know if now was the time or later.
Yeah.
Was the time.
Well, if we're gonna.
There's some other things. I just want to talk about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw it being relative, so that's what we can.
Yeah, but if we can do it and keep the incoming the same by moving it around, then we make it revenue neutral, so to speak, with the decision.
Okay, I got you.
I think we need to have the attorney for that discussion as well.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I read the grant on it and I was like, oh my God. After reading it twice, I need to go read it again. Yeah, we'll do that then. So we'll have that on the agenda. Heather, if you don't mind making a note. Right, before we give them out, we could start it out the next week, having them out, signed up, ready to go. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's kind of hard to argue with a balanced budget.
It is. It really is, but I just want to make sure.
Right.
You're
And
right.
If the intent is revenue sort of neutral on it, then we're going to stick with the same. So this is still good. So I just want to make.
Well, I think we definitely need to address the amount of permits. That's just, yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's balanced. I think it's hard to argue with that.
I got one more question, Zach, and then I'm done. I mean, a balanced budget is a balanced budget. Is there any, I think I read a back and forth email with Commissioner Waters or something about the police vehicles. Is that going to present a problem in the future of pricing?
Got some information yesterday about some possibility of some trucks that have already been ordered that could come in earlier than what you can order these other vehicles for. I don't have the figures, all that kind of stuff, so that might be an option that we can look at in the future. That was just in a conversation that came across me.
It's not a budget issue.
No, it's not.
No.
If it's anything, it'd be a money saving issue.
Right.
It won't be an increase, it'd be a money saving.
Worst thing in the world is to pass a budget, balanced budget, and then do 15 balanced budget events during the year. That's just, and we've been known to do that.
Well, and since you bring that up, we came at the last board meeting, we came out of ARP a little bit for the paving. Zach, are we adjusting in this budget for that little delta, or is that something to be concerned about too?
Yeah, so we adjusted for the paving. We'll have to adjust it for this stormwater and surveying project that was just approved. So we'll make that adjustment for the final proposed budget that comes forward. And we did reach out, just touching base on the trucks, and Sandy might be able to speak to it more, but did reach out to Nate about the possibility of trucks. I think it was like about $6,000 more for the trucks, but it is something we can explore if there is interest in doing that as one of the options if we're able to get it sooner. And then there might be a potential for some further discussion with another municipality nearby as well, maybe to open up some flexibility for additional vehicles. So we're going to look at those things, and as long as they're not, increasing the budget, and if we realize the cost savings, we'll definitely pursue those and bring those back. So.
Mayor, I'll have to make just one quick comment, just a personal note here.
Sure.
I
Right
think
ahead.
this is and I think Don will vouch for it, maybe the fourth or fifth year that boards have balanced the budget with no tax increase. I think that's, and maintained services. I think that's fantastic. I mean, it's unprecedented in this county to do that. And
If you think about it, we actually increased our services.
exactly, we have enhanced and increased over the last 4 years tremendously. And it's all because of the boards now, previous boards that have worked hard on that, and the staff to do that. But I think, and Zach, so you've always asked us for a tax increase, but at the end of the day, it's always balanced, enhanced services. I mean, I think it's great.
Any other comments or questions for Zach?
I agree with Commissioner Markner. I can't I'm very happy with this. I can't thank Zach and his staff enough for presenting this to us. This makes our job that much easier because usually, he said in the past, we're looking at what do we have to cut to get it down to keep from raising taxes.
That's right.
We're not having to cut anything as far as services go. I couldn't be happier with this.
All right, Zach. Well, unless anybody else has anything to say, I guess we'll need to give you an okey dokey to make this for a public comment, correct? So can we do that
Yeah.
do we need to do that before, or can we do that the night of the board meeting?
I mean, yeah, if everything looks good in there, we can go ahead and put this out for public consumption. We'll add, kind of add some of the filler pages in like we do. So it's, one complete document with, the pictures and everything else in there and get that out there. But yeah, this could serve as the proposed budget, and then we'll go ahead and set the hearing in June and get everything squared away.
Okay.
I was under the impression that the last budget meeting, that this board wanted a price from Star Hill to correct the stormwater issue. And I asked Heather today if she received a proposal, and that's why I asked her to be the one I received to give me. Star Hill is prepared as a result of the joint meeting the town of Tech Carteret and Star Hill had to try to address the stormwater issues in Sutton. I was under the impression from the two engineers that were there, John Freshwater and Jonathan McDaniels, that they wanted a Band-Aid fix by Star Hill to try to anticipate a larger stormwater. And that's the proposal I gave you tonight. Now, we shut down that night. Today, we planted a new type of grass on the greens on the 9 holes of the lakes course, which includes fairway number 3 of the lakes, under which that pipe fits. Now, the Band-Aid solution that 2 engineers proposed at that meeting, and asked Star Hill for a price, was to cut down the hill that previously the town was digging into to try to drain water. And Brian was at the meeting and Zach also. So we can, at this point, get a side cutter, cut the sod off this hill, get the dirt down. Brian had said that he cut the inlet. So that if the fairway floods, the inlet takes. But the window, I'm sorry. Can you hear me all right, Zach? Okay. So,
Yes, that's better.
Yeah, the window of time is short though, because we expect to have those greens growing and in play in 6 weeks. So I thought when I saw the agenda, this issue was going to be on the agenda. Stormwater proposal, because I had been asked to acquire that from Star Hill at our joint meeting. So all I'm saying is, if you want to authorize Star Hill to do that Band-Aid fix, Star Hill will do it for $13,550. Cut the hill down that you want gone, or the 2 engineers proposed to get gone, and then fall in line. I'm not privy to the list y'all got of the stormwater issues. Is Sutton on that list? Yeah. Well, this is just a Band-Aid fix. Both engineers agreed that the pipe under the fairway is insufficient to carry rainwater in a catastrophic event like we had a 7-inch fall in 24 hours. So,
We already had, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We already had the engineering done.
Sir?
I was talking about the list on the current list
Yes.
that was approved.
Yes.
We've already had the engineering done for that area, for Sutton Drive
Sutton.
area, right?
Well, we're prepared to do it if you want us to do the Band-Aid fix. Now, this wouldn't increase the pipes that go from Star Hill Drive to Pettiford Creek. It wouldn't
Right.
increase the pipes existing in the fairway. It wouldn't address the easements that are on private property that are not recorded easements. But we would do that if you wish us to do it. Star Hill will do it for the next 30, 60. Sir,
Jackson, we're not, I don't think the board has been well versed on, I know Mayor Baker and possibly Ryan and Zach, they know a heck of a lot more than I do.
well,
Well-
that's communication. We had a joint meeting, Star Hill and Cape Carteret, Zach, Ryan, John Freshwater, Jonathan McDaniel, Star Hill employees, Star Hill directors. And this is what I thought we were asked to come to you with.
My understanding on the issue was Star Hill was gonna do their part and then we're gonna do our part. I mean, that's simple. But as far as is that right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Star Hill has to do their part first, right?
Speaking of the grades, I'll have that board. About Friday,
So you're saying,
Go first thing on Monday morning.
well, I didn't understand that Star Hill was contributing a $13,500 job to the town's efforts for nothing. I thought you were asking us for a Band-Aid solution and we were prepared to offer one, but if you would rather not, we'll just leave things the way they are.
I don't think that's the issue, Paxton. I personally would like to hear from Zach or Ryan or the mayor that are more educated
I
and
would
the,
too, because I was certainly under the impression that
before I say anything else.
that y'all wanted engineering estimates, which I was trying to give you.
Right.
But if I'm wrong, we'll just wait.
I'm going off of what the engineer you guys had in here, which was Mr. McDaniels, who gave the presentation at the last board meeting, and that's what we discussed, was getting the prices out for the different projects, and this is the Band-Aid, which I have this, before you hand me, I hadn't seen this till just now, so I can only assume it's a good price for that and who's doing the work. But that is what he was discussing, is knocking that berm down, which is what we did during the last storm to ease that level out. It's not going to cure the flooding per se, but what that does is that gets that level of drainage down. So if we have an event like that, it's still going to flood that area, but it's not going to come up to the houses level. So in other words, you're not going to see the property damage. And we have that happen all over town. As far as we got low areas, my backyard's one up. That you reach a certain level, I don't mean to use the word acceptable, but it's not dangerous to property, if that makes sense. So that we're looking at, like I say, this 13.55. Well, I guess that's the discussion.
That's where I'm at.
Right.
The town would pay Star Hill to do that work.
That's what I'm,
Yes, sir.
you gotta understand, Pax, I'm in the dark here and I'm trying to,
Well, it's
it's
all.
not your fault, I'm trying to figure out what's.
Right. And that depends on, there again, what we're talking about is, like I say, doing what we needed to do, especially like with the grates and everything. And we're doing that. So we're,
I'll get this done before in the time frame that she's.
right. It's kind of like 6 weeks.
We just got this piece of paper today with the digger on it.
I was surprised that it hadn't been sent to the town, but
I'm lost.
well, if you want us to do something, that's the price.
Okay.
If you don't, that's.
So you say 6 weeks though. I mean, that's where, like I say, when I just.
What is your estimate for that work to be, the amount of time it would take to complete the work? Do you have an estimate for that?
It will be within 30 days.
No,
If you give us the go ahead.
yeah, well, that's what I meant. Is it a week's worth of work or is it?
I don't know how many hours. but.
That's a very simple problem.
Yeah, you-
Oh, I know,
yeah.
it's very simple. The time frame is, once we put that pole back into operation, we're not gonna shut it down, and we're certainly not gonna do it after the grass stops.
My question is, since we have the figures here and everything else, do we need to have it on the board of commissioners meeting for public comment?
I welcome that, I thought.
Well, that's what I was thinking, was putting it on the June agenda. I just don't know if would that be too late if we decide to do anything additional?
With a special meeting, whatever it takes to help those people over there. We've been dealing with it for since March now. Now that I understand what Jonathan Daniel has.
Right.
It's a Band-Aid. It lowers the
Right.
possibility of death of the water, flood water.
The issue is, do you guys agree with spending the town funds to take care of it? And the ARP funds, I believe, would take care of that. Exactly. So,
That's not the issue.
and we can decide that now if you want to, based on the information you got. That's up to you guys.
I'm ready to move forward with that project as long as Brian has his end covered. You got your stuff ready to go, Brian?
Yeah, I can pick up the grades on Friday.
Okay, and I think it's a simple up or down vote to take the 13,000 whatever dollars out of the ARP fund.
I think we beneficial maybe meet whoever on site to see how many square footage, what the cut is. what the
Right.
useful cutters take.
And
If that makes sense.
And Ms. Holtz, all the work on the course will be done by your contractor, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That way liability or
I
anything like that would be yours for that. Yeah. Zach, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I got a couple things to say on this. I think my understanding coming out of that meeting was different than what Ms. Holtz has presented this evening, but I was under the understanding this was a partnership between the golf course and the town, where the town was purchasing the grates and improving the boxes within our easement so that we could allow stormwater to enter into the system. And in return, Star Hill was improving the swale across the golf course and looking into jetting out that pipe. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan was also in that meeting with me, and that was not what was discussed in terms of the town footing the cost for the improvements on the golf course side. I will say that we need to be careful about making investments in private property where we don't have easements and using federal funds for that purpose. I think we would need to explore that a little bit further, just to make sure that we're not violating any of the conditions of the ARP funds by doing that. We're all foreseeing a resolution to this issue, but I don't want us to get into any trouble with using those funds for that purpose. But Brian's already ordered the grates for what we agreed to do and is ready to move on that. And that was my understanding of what we had agreed to in that meeting. And perhaps there was a difference of opinion that came from that. But if we are going to use those funds and fund that, I think we would at least also probably have to bid that out as well, because we would need to get multiple prices on contractors. And this is really something I would recommend that we seek Brett's input on if we're going to commit to something like that.
Well, I welcome any investigation you want to do. I was proposing to do it with Star Hill men and equipment, except for renting a sod cutter. However, if you want to wait and investigate and do a full-fledged stormwater project, that's completely up to you. But the window of time for Star Hill is while those greens are growing for the next 6 weeks. That's the window of time. And and I certainly didn't expect to do an easement or anything of that nature. It was always with Star Hill's men and equipment, but it's whatever y'all want to do. If you want to investigate, if you can pay Star Hill to do it on Star Hill's property for that price, that's fine. If you want to wait, that's fine. But I'm tired of having the finger pointed at Star Hill when we have taken the step to get all the surveys and elevations and so forth run to identify the problem, and with your engineer and our engineer come up with a solution to the problem for the engineering. Now this little proposal is just a Band-Aid, And you can still cut down your boxes and put grates in without us doing anything. Without us doing anything, can you not?
Paxton,
Yeah,
There
they
wouldn't
can
be
do
any,
it.
Paxton, I think.
there wouldn't be any point.
I think the issue here is, like Zach alluded to, and it didn't even cross my mind because I'm lost on the project. That's private property.
Yes,
And there's no easement for the town, and we're using public funds. So I share with Zach's caution there.
you can have an easement. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of getting the attorney, getting the survey, getting the description, getting the easement recorded. There's no hesitation. And furthermore, for the future, for the big engineering project, Star Hill would certainly be willing to grant an easement across the fairway forever, as long as the town maintains their easement.
I would like for
know,
Zach to
think it's
really
fine.
consult the attorney so we don't get into
Absolutely.
something. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely.
But thanks for
Yeah, bringing it.
bringing this.
Well,
I
it's
wish we'd
all-
have got it a long time ago.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
when did we have the meeting? It hadn't been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's either last week or the week before. It kind of runs together, but appreciate. Yeah, I do think it's good that we're all talking about it and moving in,
Right, nobody's
and hopefully the
pointing,
right direction. So.
just trying to make sure we're doing what's right and protecting the town
Well,
and you as well in the process.
I don't do Facebook, but I'm told that there are statements on Facebook specifically directed at me and my son about this issue.
We can't
And
control the public.
I understand that, but
But that has nothing to do with how
But
this
that's why I
board,
want this
this board
solved.
views it.
Yes,
And I think you've seen we're
Yeah.
trying, but we got to make sure we do it right. So,
if we can do it correctly.
so let's do this, Zach. If you would, first thing first is to get Brett's opinion.
Okay,
And then let Brett let us know what that is and we'll proceed from there. And if we need to do a special meeting, we'll have a consensus on that. How's that?
We all live here.
I just hate there's such a time crunch, but there are some things that have to be considered.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I don't either.
I don't either.
I don't either. So we'll get that information and go from there. All right?
Just so we're all on the same page, if we wait, by the time the next Board of Commissioners meeting comes, there will only be 2 weeks left in that window,
Right.
just for what it's worth.
And that's where if we went and everything's okay for them to use their contractor to do this. If not, then naturally, if we have to bid this out, then we're talking a month at least. Yeah, I don't, there again, we could probably, if we had, I'm just thinking out of the box here, that if we had the easement and I would ask Brian, as far as the digging, if the town could do that, here again, we'd have to have the easement in place, I think, before we'd want any town equipment or work being done on that. So we'll see what Brett's got to say and then we'll get together and discuss it. All right. Nothing's ever easy, is it? All right. Anyway, any more questions or comments about the budget? Not that I'll entertain a motion. Well, I think we need to give Zach, do we need a motion to put this to the public?
Yeah, if this can be
To
the
approve.
proposed budget,
Try to make sure our word is right.
And Heather, what's that public hearing date that we're going to have in June? Is that June 13th?
I was gonna try to do it on the board meeting. Is that the deadline?
That'll be the 13th, yes. Does that give us time to get the public notice out as well? Yeah. Go ahead.
So it can be a motion to accept the budget as proposed and to set a public hearing date for June 13th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Okay.
We were going to talk about that next meeting, remember? So that may affect, I don't know, it may affect the.
Well, I assume the conversation was going to try to make it where it would be revenue neutral. If we do that, then we can still adopt the budget and right, and then talk about that, after we adopt. That makes sense. All right. Anybody want a motion to do what he said?
Can I make a motion to just say, do what he said?
To adopt the budget to go before public,
June 13th.
for June 13th meeting. Yes.
I'll second.
All right. And any more discussion on it? If not, then all in favor. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, the one I've been waiting for, I'd love to entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. Second? Thank you, gentlemen. I know it's always an arduous task to do this, and thank you, Ms. Holtz, for your attendance. Staff, police, happy Public Works Week. General public, thank you for coming, Doc. Oh, Jesus.